Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Built Like This podcast. I'm your host, Maxine. We're on episode 288. Hello, welcome to the Tuesday episode. I'm glad you are here and let's get into it. Let's get into it. So, I came across this TikTok. Well, it was on X, formerly known as Twitter. This video that has gone viral of this man who is living his residence is at a storage unit. Not sure if it's U-Haul or anything else, right? But it's definitely a storage unit nonetheless. And he is not only staying there as a man, he's also staying there with his girlfriend, with his woman. And I believe they share a child, and the child is there as well. I believe it's a son. And I'm just taken aback because, look, I get how expensive the housing market is, renters market, all of that is an arm and a leg. But my God, today, considering that the both of y'all are two able-bodied human beings, adults, and I assume y'all would have been living together, y'all could have made something work. Anyway, let me go ahead and play this clip for you guys, and we'll talk about how this is just so strange. And of course, whenever things go viral online, it has a way of biting you in the ass. And this is a prime example of such. So I'm going to go ahead and play this video. Again, make sure you are watching on YouTube so you can see exactly what I'm sharing and you can follow suit. So let's take a listen. If only the sound was on. Oh, there we go.
I live in the storage unit.
Let's try one more time. So he's walking into his
I
storage
live in the
unit.
storage unit because it's cheap in comparison to an apartment. Living here is actually really
There we
comfortable. I
go.
get a lot of things that I need and want to get done here.
I'm gonna pause right there. Okay. So I'm gonna bring it on back. I'm gonna bring it on back real quick because you see him, for those of you, it looks like it's a U-Haul. Yeah, it's a U-Haul storage unit because according to the video, in the video, you see boxes of U-Hauls, like U-Haul boxes, U-Haul cardboard boxes. So he's walking in the hallway and walking to his unit. Like, you know how you have people don't call, sometimes you don't call your apartment an apartment. You say, "Oh, I live in unit 1." That's what I say. And so he says he lives in unit 2 of the storage unit. Y'all, I think it's very telling to the times that we're in, though. I think it's so easy to get mad at this guy or clown him. And the jokes are the jokes, but it really speaks to the level of the economy that we're in right now. It is expensive as heck to survive. And I don't know if he's someone who has no skills or a shaky background, and maybe that has a play into why he's not making enough money to support himself and his family. That could be it, but that's my assumption. But the way that he introduces us to his residence, it seems as if he is like, he didn't go into this unit thinking, how can I save more money? Or how can I be a cheapskate? I don't know. Like, no, he's not going into it saying, "Oh, I came up on hard times and I had no choice but to live in the storage unit." He never said that. But let's go ahead and continue.
I live in the storage unit because it's cheap in comparison to an apartment. Living here is actually really comfortable. I get a lot of things that I need and want to get done here. I can exercise. I can use the bathroom.
Not I can't use the bathroom. So he's showing us how he's doing jumping jacks and sit-ups in the hallway and push-ups in the hallway and headstands. He's breakdancing. He is clearly showing us that he is living in a active moving lifestyle, basically proving that he is a full-bodied human being, you know? So he's capable of working a job. It's not like he's handicapped or he is impaired in some sort. He makes a point that he could use a bathroom, but the storage unit doesn't have a shower. It does have a toilet and um a sink. So I don't know how clean he's getting. Maybe he has a gym membership also, so he could go to the gym and shower there. But let's just continue. Let's continue.
I can play music anywhere in the unit.
He's playing a speaker. Little.
Controlled in here, so it's nice and warm. This unit is 24 hours, so I can come here anytime I want, stay here as long as I need to. We can take naps if we need to and go to sleep. So this is our.
And so he's saying we, as in him and his girlfriend. So he is not the only adult thinking that this is a good idea. He is doing so with his. It's wild. I mean, it's creative, right? Is it not creative? Are you not inspired? Come on. So you see him in the unit. There is a sofa. Like this unit is, I don't know the measurements and stuff like that exactly, so I don't want to say it. But it's big enough where you could fit a sofa. There's a sofa in here. There's a dresser in here. There's a tripod set up. The girlfriend that he's showing in this clip is laying on the sofa, asleep, wrapped in her covers. I don't know. That's where they sleep all the time. Maybe they have a portable bed. I don't think it's big enough to have a mattress out at all times. So that could be the arrangement. Let's continue.
For living space. Very, very grateful to have.
There are bookshelves. There are, like, this is a unit. This looks comparable to a studio apartment. This was comparable to a studio apartment. Like when I was living in a studio apartment, maybe it's the same because the size that I was in was a 625 square foot apartment. And it was great. It was great for me. I didn't feel tight or cluttered. Especially since I'm just naturally a clean person and I like things orderly. So I never felt like things were just overflowing. Eventually you kind of grow out of the space and you want something more, something bigger, which is why I moved and I'm currently at my current residence. But I would compare this unit, the storage unit, to a studio. The only difference is this is not a unit where you are supposed to be living in. This is where you store your items, right? So this is not something that you necessarily, quote unquote, should be doing. And I mean, it's not really, I don't think it's healthy to live in it. Oh, hold on. I'm sorry. I had to pause real quick because these neighbors, speaking of the unit, I have a neighbor who, I don't know if he's fee fi fo fum. I don't know if he's Hulk himself. But my God, today, this man cannot stop pouncing whenever he's going up and down the stairs. It's very ridiculous. And like, are you a horse? Are you a horse? Anyway, so that just kind of shook me up. And I'm kind of shaking, honestly. Let's do a quick interlude. So I recently watched this documentary on Netflix, and I'm not typically shaken by true crime. I've fallen asleep to I fall asleep to true crime. Like I think it's like a lullaby. I remember I came on here and I was like, oh, um there's this new study where those of you who find comfort in watching incessant amounts of true crime documentaries, you are someone who are traumatized. You are someone who finds peace in trauma because you probably was more than likely you have been traumatized, and this sense of chaos or feeling unsafe is a place of familiarity to you. Again, I'm tired of the whole trauma talk. I mean, look, I could like what I like, and two things could be true at the same time. But I say all that to say, I'm so used to watching true crime stuff that a lot of these things don't shake me. But for some reason, this documentary that I watched on Netflix called American Nightmare shook me. It shook me because I don't know. I guess I was just a little taken aback since this is my first time living in a space where I am accessible technically, right? I'm not in a high rise, and um like there's multiple entries to enter my home. Uh I don't want to give too many details, right? But there like it's not as like I don't have a doorman, there isn't a fob to enter where like it's not entirely protected. And I think that's just the reality of life. When you finally live in a space where that you're not in this uh igloo or cyclone, what's the term for it? But you're not in this silo. Yeah, you're not in this silo. It's like how you've been living on campus in college and you're in your own world, and people always say, oh, when you graduate and get into the real world, you'll see how things really are, because you've lived so much in this uh just manufactured space, and it's totally different than reality. Now that is like a reckoning, an awareness that I'm realizing I'm experiencing. And I don't want to say I feel fear. I typically don't like to feel fear when it comes to my personal safety. I don't even allow my mind to go there. But I don't know, I'm kind of going there. I don't want to psych myself out, so I haven't entertained too much of that thought. But for some reason, this documentary that I watched really kind of freaked me out because the predator who they focused on, and I don't want to spoil it because I really thought the documentary was going to go one way, but it went a totally different way. So I don't want to spoil it for anyone who may want to watch it or who's in the middle of watching it. It's a 3-part series, and it's really, really good. So I think ultimately what I took from it was, I don't know, like you have to be more vigilant. Um and hope for the best. I really don't know. I really don't know. There was a part in the docu-series when the predator, he entered the home of this woman. And mind you, he preyed on, it wasn't, how typically in these docu-series it'll be the predator preying on single women who live alone. That's like an easy catch, unfortunately. But he wasn't only doing that. He also came into homes where there were families there. Like there was a mom, a dad, and a young adult daughter living in the home. So he diversified his attacks. Diversity, DEI. But anyway, I was kind of shook up. I was kind of shook up. So I talked to my man about it, and I was like, yeah, there's some ways to increase renter friendly security systems because yeah. So that's where I'm at with it. But how did I get here? let's go back to the storage unit thing. So the storage unit, oh yeah, I would think with that type of space, obviously there's no windows, right? There's no windows in a storage unit. You can't look outside. You can't stare up to the sky. You can't easily walk out into the outside world. You have to it's very secluded, and I don't know if that's healthy for your mental state. And for myself, like, I can't even see myself doing that because I need to easily be able to touch grass or breathe the outside air. So let's continue with this video real quick, and then we'll move on to something else. But I just find it so interesting. So again, this has gone viral, right?
The next goal was to get an RV. The next goal after that, tiny home. And if we want to eat,
So again, he is, as you can see, an alternative lifestyle person. And I respect that. I've always shared my fascination on here about people who choose to live life according to their own choices and ideas, and they figure out a way to make that work. My goodness, if you guys hear that in the background, I do apologize. I live near a train, and that's the only thing about living in this city. It's like right nearby. So annoying. So anyway, um he's like, "Oh, if we went out, oh yeah, yeah." So as he's explaining himself, he's saying how, "Oh, well, I could go out. No, we could eat here." He shows a portable stove that he has, the same ones that you'll use when you were living on campus, in college, in your dorm. That's the one that he's referring to. He's saying he could save up easier for a tiny home or for a trailer. And okay, cool. I respect it. I just think, you have to be smart about things like this and understand that a storage unit may not be the best route. And I just don't approve of that type of living because, again, it's not conducive to your mental health. But let's continue.
eat, I just cook right out front.
I mean, he cooks right out front.
Or we'll just prepare something cold inside of the unit. Sandwiches. A lot of times we make salad. If we want to get power, we use our power bank.
He has a power
They
bank.
also have power here so we can charge our power bank. Me and my baby will live here as long as we need to until we get the shelter that we want. Because we're living here, now we can save up more money to get what we really want. We're in it for the long haul. Thank you for the support. Thanks for watching.
Okay, let's see. So he obviously is facing criticism. And as a response, he says, quote, "I embrace sharing my journey on TikTok as it aligns with the essence of my character. Recording my experiences is not solely for financial gain, but serves as a platform to inspire others. It's about authenticity and the genuine desire to motivate rather than just making money." Okay. But I'm trying to see, because I heard that he got kicked out. I thought this was the link. Let's see. People have lived in storages for decades, according to this comment. Someone says he just had to publicize it and ruin it for many. Interesting. I did not know people lived like that. I guess it makes sense, right? Considering that storage units are, depending on what size you get, you can have it as low as $35 a month. So that technically is your rent for your furniture. That's what it's designed for. But if you are living inside of it, that will be your rent as a human being. Um, Someone said he should have moved in silence. Hope they save some money for a real apartment. People got to learn to keep their grind silent while in the midst of doing it, especially when it's not completely legit. I agree with that. I think it's important to look at, I'm not trying to shame him, and maybe this is going to be a temporary stay, or if it works best for him and his girl, then God bless. I just don't think again, I just disapprove living in a space where there are no windows. I hate even being in a classroom and there are no windows. I don't like being in an office and there are no windows. It's just, ugh. I hate the fluorescent lighting. I only want lighting that is from the earth. So that's me. But hey, God bless. I wish them well, child. But that takes another type of focus or whatever the adjective or focus word here is. But moving forward, let's talk about Jeannie Mai. Let's talk about Jeannie Mai. So Jeannie Mai and Jeezy, as we know, are going through a divorce. It has yet to be finalized, but it has been a controversial story, to say the least, because of the rather abruptness of it all. Jeezy was the one to have filed against her, and typically we don't see the man filing for divorce. We see more of the woman doing so. So for Jeezy to be the one to have filed, it really made people wonder, such as myself, what could have happened, right? What took place between them that led him to get this far to divorce. If you want to go back to how they got together and even the timeline of everything, it seemed quote unquote rather rushed. And soon after, they had their child together. And it was pretty interesting because Jeannie Mai was the one who said she did not want to have children. She had no desire in being a mother. And she was married before to a white man, just to make a note, and she did not want to have his kid. Like, she did not want, she's been married, you know what I mean? So, some people don't want to have kids until they're in a marriage setting or just married period, right? That it wasn't like that with her. She's been married, she just didn't want to have kids. And a lot of people had that joke of, when people say, I'm not trying to be in a relationship right now, but what they're really saying is, I'm not trying to be in a relationship right now with you. So I'm not trying to have kids with you. So a lot of people were saying that for Jeannie Mai, the with you part was definitely there for her ex-husband. It was just silent. She didn't want to have his kids. And I think there's a lot of truth to that, because a lot of times we think that, oh, we don't want this, we don't want that. But come to find out, once we meet that right person, we realize, oh, I want all your babies. I want to get pregnant now. So that really just speaks to the level of love that you are experiencing with this person, the level of safety and joy that you have with him. It's a beautiful thing, but yeah, it's a sucky feeling for the previous person who was there with you, but you weren't reciprocating. Nonetheless, they're going through a divorce. That shit, that with you part didn't matter, huh? With you, who the fuck cares? We're going through divorce. Yada yada yada. He filed. Sucks to suck. So he files and he selects the option of irreconcilable differences. A lot of us assume that it could be because of their cultural differences. Apparently or allegedly, when they were living together in their marital home, she had her mother stay with them for quite some time, as well as her brother. And this was normal for an Asian culture to do, to have your family members stay for a long extended period in your marital home. And it is what it is. Like, there was no such thing as privacy or I just want my own space, mom. Like, no, I'm your fucking mom. I will stay with you however long I want. And that's common in a lot of cultures, actually, quite contrary to what we like to encourage or see in American culture. A lot of a lot of cultural backgrounds, a lot of cultures have this type of upbringing. And I mean, who are we to say that way is wrong or not? But I think being that they come from totally two different backgrounds, a conversation should have been had on what are the expectations for our home. And, how do you feel about my mom staying? Or how, like there should be some type of common ground that should have been had. Nonetheless, it wasn't. Or, maybe people were lying in the conversation. Sometimes we say, oh, we're good, we're fine with this, we're fine with that. Come to find out, oh, wait, I lied. I wasn't being honest here. And now I'm in a situation where I am. Sit down. Now we're in a situation where I am regretting saying yes to this. Okay, we're back. So, okay, cool. So he files, they're going through it. We're hearing that uh she's claiming that he cheated on her. Uh Jeezy was being interviewed by Nia Long. Everyone's a fucking interviewer now. Okay, what? Like Nia Long, go find a script. While he was being interviewed by her, he tells her black men don't cheat, or no, real men don't cheat. That's Charlamagne who coined that phrase. But no, Jeezy says real men don't cheat. And then Nia Long just drinking this water, like, I know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean. It's like, girl, what the fuck does he mean? Shut up. Nia Long, shut up. Stupid. Like, you should have stayed in that damn marriage with that Ime Udoka. Anyway, actually, they weren't even married. Just in that engagement. Anyway, so what happened? So he is saying he never cheated, he was a real man to her, and that they exhausted all the options to maintain a healthy marriage. Now, look, who are we to say that he didn't do that? But I do find it interesting when people say stuff like that, and it's like, okay, y'all, like technically they were only married for the length of time they had their child, starting from conception to her year of age as of now. So a good 2 years. So like, girl, what are you talking about? And so Jeannie Mai asked the judge to hold off on enforcing her and Jeezy's prenuptial agreement after she claimed she did not have enough time to review it prior to signing. Say what now? She is claiming that she did not have enough time to review this prenup, and I guess she signed it in a haste. Therefore, this prenup shall be null and void, and it is so. This is so lazy. This is so lazy. So, mind you, Jeannie Mai is 45 years old. She is a grown ass woman. Jeezy is 46. They are within the same age bracket. You mean to tell me that Jeezy rushed her to signing these papers? Did he drug her and say, hey, just sign right here real quick, babe? No. There was an understanding with the prenup. You signed a prenup with the understanding that what's mine is mine, what's yours is yours, should we get a divorce. Now, all of a sudden, because you're butthurt, because you're bitter, and you're mad that he filed, quote unquote, out of the blue, because according to a lot of the interviews that she's done, she said that she was caught off guard as well. And, as well as all of us. That's why she's saying as well. She was caught off guard and it's been a trying time, but she's just making sure that she's being the best mother as she can to their daughter, Morocco, and just like not shedding any light on what it could have been. A lot, like, I have some suspicion on what it could have been, what could have resulted to it, because we see in previous media outlets of her sharing that she has had anger management issues for quite some time. And it was so bad that it was a factor in her previous marriage, but she did not care enough about her ex-husband to really hone in on her issues and change and do better and figure out effective strategies to manage her emotions. Instead, it just was what it was. You know how a lot of times we get so angry that we say things that we don't mean, but we chalk it up to, oh, girl, I didn't mean that. I was just being angry. Like, it's not a big deal. When actually, it is a big deal. It is a big deal. You know, when every time we get in an argument, I shouldn't have to feel like, damn, here we go. You're going to call me out my name. Here we go. You're going to say I ain't shit and I'm never going to be shit. Right? Here we go. We were like, it's just so toxic. And I've been there. I've been in that type of relationship where the person who you're arguing with is so mean. Like, just mean. Like, that is a mean thing to say. Yet it's chalked up to, oh, I was just angry. Don't take it seriously. Like, don't, like, as if when we are angry, that emotion is null and void. Like, that emotion is suddenly supposed to be ignored or not taken seriously. Why not? Why not? It's an emotion, right? Like, it's an emotion that should be honored, right? I think we get so caught up in, oh, just be nice, be everything's nice, be positive, be positive. No, you should be allowed to feel all of your emotions, absolutely. But don't let your emotions get you popped. Hello? Don't let your emotions get you popped. Don't get so verklempt and overwhelmed in your feelings and how you express yourself that now you are losing the one you love because of your potty ass mouth. Child, I'm just, oof. Thank God for a difference in relationships. I haven't experienced relationships like that anymore in all capacities. Like, I had friendships in my life that I no longer have, but when I had them, that was a big factor to why that friendship was just so toxic. When we would get upset or annoyed with each other, instantly it's this heavy angry expression, and just mean things are said. Am I saying mean things? No. It's always me getting the end of the stick in those experiences. I swear it's always me. And then of course you'll defend yourself, yeah. But for the most part, I've always been in those type of relationships, whether it's a romantic one or a friendship. But thank God for differences, right? I'm glad to have different type. I'm glad to have healthy relationships in my life now, right? In friendships, in my romantic relationship, I am glad that when we argue or when we come to a point of disagreement, there is respect and maturity when expressing yourself, and there's no name calling or silent. Oh my gosh, a silent. Oh, I hate silence. Anyway, I'm going down a rabbit hole, but let's move forward. So, again, so she's alleging that she did not begin negotiating their prenup until 5 days before they tied the knot. And I mean, whose fault is that though? She argues that the time frame raised significant concerns about the adequacy and thoroughness of the due diligence process and each party's full and fair disclosure of their financial positions. She says she now has, quote, significant reservations about her estranged husband's financial disclosures. So basically, she feels entitled to whatever financial success he's experiencing as of late, and feels as if she is not getting the full truth on the money he's made while they still are technically married. So within their confines of marriage, she feels entitled to his money. Now, I think with Jeezy though, the way he went about it did seem a little strange. I wonder if they had a lot of arguments prior to this point and he decided to just, okay, I'm done. Cause I was watching the lead attorney, shout out to him on YouTube, and he covered this topic. He said how, according to the filing, apparently he's there's in the documents, you see in the paperwork, you see that he started filing at an earlier date, but he didn't submit it until a few months later. So he was pending on this for quite some time. So what I'm wondering is, did he communicate that to her? Was this a communication that was had? Was there an open door communication about the status of their marriage? Was Jeannie Mai really caught up? Like, I just don't understand how you're living in a house with someone whom you're married and to whom you're married, and you're completely taken aback that he filed for divorce. Like, what? You didn't know anything? I don't know if I believe that. Like, it doesn't sound real to me. Maybe because I'm living in the real world and I'm not in the entertainment industry where, oh, maybe you don't see your husband as frequently as you would for us everyday folk, for those of us who work quote unquote regular jobs. But if you're working a job in entertainment that costs for you to fly out to Hawaii for a few days and then go to LA for um something else. Maybe, maybe that's the reason why she didn't know. I don't know, but I just feel like when your marriage is on the rocks. Unless you're really delusional. Like when things are not going well is you choosing not to really hone in on that, and that results into you feeling like, "Oh my gosh, I'm caught off guard." Okay, Jeannie Ma. Anyway, so that is her contest to this. This is again another thing that she's saying to tarnish Jeezy. And look, I don't really care about. I'm not trying to defend Jeezy. I'm really not. I don't really care about Jeezy like that. I really don't. I do think he is. I never really was a fan of their marriage because I'm not in favor of interracial relationships. But growth. I haven't talked crap about that type of relationship in a while. So please congratulate me. Woo! No more racism. No more racism. But I just felt like, and maybe it was just the nature of their work. I know Jeannie Mai, she is a social media influencer. She does make money from influencing online. So I think it just came with the course of them showing a lot of their marriage and these highlighted moments on her Instagram and YouTube. That's like literally her job. So I can't really hate on that. Maybe I'm just being jealous about like, oh, she's making money from influencing. That's so pretty cool. Maybe, I don't know, maybe that's part of jealousy. But nonetheless, I just felt like their relationship, their marriage just felt like a business deal. Like I don't think I was ever convinced by them. They didn't scream to me, I am in love with you and you are my woman. Like I never got that sense. So maybe that's why it never resonated with me. That's probably, I'm not hating. I'm not hating. I'm just saying I don't think it was real. I don't think it was real. I don't. But hey, God bless, child. But let's move forward. I'm over it, child. Get the divorce and move on. Speaking of divorce, I was watching this show and I could not. I'm literally on the last episode, but I'm so annoyed with the nature of events in this show that I don't think I want to continue, but I feel like I might as well. I invested so much time. I might as well finish it. It's only 5 episodes. I think it's just a limited series. It's called Scenes of a Marriage. Is it Scenes of or Scenes from? Scenes of, no, Scenes from. Yeah, so Scenes from Marriage, okay? Oh, excuse me. It came out in 2021 and it's only one season. I thought it was a limited series, but it's classified as a mini series. So I'm wondering if that means there's an opportunity to make it into a um to have a second season. But you know what's interesting? I forget that this is the same title of a movie called Scenes of a Marriage that I remember seeing on Netflix, right? Hold on, let me make sure. Uh the one with oh no, that's different. Scenes from a Marriage. That's the one with Scarlett Johansson. No. Child, I don't know. There's another one or Marriage. Let's see. Scarlett Johansson. Marriage Story. Okay, I was getting that confused. Never mind. That's something totally different. Scenes of a Marriage. So, will there be a season 2? Because again, it's only one season. It says here, Scenes from a Marriage season 2 does not have an official release date. Oh, however, it can potentially exist in some format in the future. Scenes from a Marriage was developed as a mini series, and those traditionally don't have a second. Okay, so this probably won't continue. Anyway, this was a very interesting watch. I was so annoyed with this show because of the delay. That is um my primary reason why I was so annoyed with this show. There was such a delay in events and actions and responses and second steps, and it felt like this long wait. I was in the lobby for too long. And basically it's about this married couple who somehow, well, the wife falls out of love with the husband. The husband is, I would say he's kind of soft. She comes home because she works, so their dynamic is very interesting. So not very interesting, I think it's very common in a lot of different marriages. I don't think we have enough conversations about it though. But she makes more than him, and they just have the understanding that he is the quote unquote stay at home dad. I mean, he does work a job. He is a professor. He's doing well as a professor, but not as well as her. I think she makes 6 figures and she works in media. No, she works in tech actually. Is it tech? Yeah, I think tech. So yeah, okay. So anyway, so she comes home. She tells him she fell in love with someone who works with her. He's 29. She's in her 40s, her husband's in her 40s, but she fell in love with this guy who's like 20, no, 26. 26. Like, girl. Okay. So she falls in love with this man and she's like, I'm leaving you, I'm done. And this husband is talking to like, wait, what did you, I'm trying to figure out what's going on. What did you say? And he keeps on asking her questions. Like he keeps asking her, what is he like? Why oh no, how did you meet? Why are you in love with him? Why are you leaving me? Even though she already told him, because I'm not happy in this marriage. And we learned throughout, well, in the next few episodes, that they had an asexual marriage, which is very disappointing. And it's because of him and his upbringing. He grew up in a very orthodox Jewish household. So a lot of human desire and natural emotion were suppressed in him. Now that he's an adult who's capable of making decisions, right? But he is not as tapped into his sexuality as one would be who did not grow up that way. So they didn't have sex often, if at all, really. I mean, they had sex enough to have had a child. And in the first episode, actually, we find out that she's pregnant by her husband. Let me just make that very clear. She's pregnant, and she's the type of woman or type of mother who's not really connected in her motherhood. Basically, she is a working mother, and not to say that every working mother is like this, but I do find it to be a trend amongst mothers who are more focused in their job to be very disconnected from their child whom they bared, which is very, it's just a correlation. I'm not trying to shoot anybody. I'm not. It's just a correlation. So she basically she doesn't want to be a wife. She doesn't want to be a mother. She let me just be very clear. She ends up pregnant by her husband, and she's uncomfortable with the idea of having a second baby. They're like kind of the way they talk to each other is like very. Oh, I mean, no, you can sit. You can sit. No, I'm gonna get like, just like they're stepping over each other. They feel awkward. um it's just a weird ass marriage. Like, do y'all not know each other? There's a lot of things that if you watch it, you'll understand more on their dynamics. But throughout this damn miniseries, I'm just so annoyed. Like, you have this man, so the husband, his name is Jonathan. He's just such a simp. He's a freaking simp. He's just like shaken to his core when his wife comes home and tells him, I'm leaving. And look, I'm not saying he can't be a mom. Maybe I'm a B. I'm a bitch. I'm not saying he can't be upset, but I just feel like he was torturing himself. He was saying, how did you meet him? Tell me, how does he look? Show me a picture. Show me right now. Tell me the details. It's like, what kind of bitch ass response? Woman, I'm telling you, that is not okay. Anyway, it's called Scenes from a Marriage. It's on Max. Check it out. Let me know what you think. Let's move forward. So, speaking of marriage or engagement, let's talk about this video of a woman who explains how she was engaged to a man who was amazing to her. He treated her so well. She was so happy with him. He was nothing but the best to her. Yet, she decides to break off the engagement because there was something missing. Yeah, I'm flabbergasted as well, but let's go ahead and get into it.
I felt that there was should have been a connection between he and I in order for me to be his wife.
I just
And
want to know,
so
can
I
y'all see
cut off the
yourself?
engagement.
Okay, I'm gonna pause right there. I didn't realize that there was a voiceover of this like scary saw ass voice. I just want to know, can you y'all see yourself? Anyway, let's talk about this point so far. She says she was engaged to a man. He's God fearing. He was a praying man. He loved and adored her. He was handsome too. Now, oftentimes, it'll be something where, oh, he was all these things, but I wasn't really attracted to him, but I tried to make it work because he was good on paper. Been there, don't do it. Right? But the fact that she says he was handsome, I was like, okay, what's the issue? We're going to continue in a moment, but it just, look, whose fault is it? Whose fault is it? Because at what point during your courtship with this man, during your relationship with him, during the engagement, and then up until some point, obviously, because she decided to break off the engagement. At what point did you realize something's missing? And what is that something? With TV and the conditioning that we've been in, the programming that we've endured throughout our childhood, this fairy tale expression of love and what love should look like, we have been set up for misery, for disaster, for failure every time. You literally have a perfect man according to how she describes him. Yet she breaks it off because of something that she can't even name. Something that she can't even name is missing. My God, at this point, ma'am, you have no room to complain anymore. You have no room to be like, ain't no good men out here, niggas ain't shit. You have no room for that because you have set yourself up for disaster. But let's continue.
And it was so difficult because he was a good man. It's easy when a person is not good. You can justify why you cut things off, but when a person is truly a good person, it's hard to explain. So I found myself trying to explain it to family and friends, and they were asking me a whole bunch of questions that, I could not say, exactly why, other than the fact that I just did not feel the connection. There was something that was not there that I needed to be there in order for this to be my husband.
So what is it? And as she says, she could not name it. She didn't know what that something was. She's getting asked question after question by her loved ones, and she still could not figure it out. Now, whose fault is it? This is a horrible picture of her. You see her in mid-sentence, her tongue is hanging out. This is kind of crazy. Let me just check. Yeah, that's better. Whose fault is it? What is that something that, say you meet someone else, you say, oh, we have that something. What is that? We have to know how to use our words. This is saying from someone who I definitely fumble my words, but I at least try to figure it out, and I figure it out. I find the vocab. But the fact that she is not finding the vocab, she's not doing the research to figure out what is it that she needs. Girl, write it down. Journal. Write your pros and cons. Maybe if you write a pro and con of this man, although she's naming all of the things that he is that are great, name a few things that you realize you don't appreciate in him. And maybe those things are non-negotiable because they're in his core. That's what I wonder. But for her to just not have a clear explanation or description on what that something is, it's just a setup for disaster. It really makes me wonder, how long did she feel this way? Did she just stay in this relationship because he was good on paper and they look good together and they probably was getting compliments after compliments? Who knows? But baby girl, this is not the way to go about dating and relationships. So a comment says orgasms weren't there. That's what it was. Yeah. That's what it was. He says that's all it could be at this point. At that point, he didn't satisfy her sexually, is all I can gather from this. Just because someone is good, just because someone is a good person does not mean that they're the person for you. Absolutely. But why did it take you this point of getting to be engaged with him to realize that? Like, why aren't you discerning enough in the beginning? That's the thing. Like, child, no, absolutely not. But I do agree. I think oftentimes, if you're not compatible with someone sexually, that is a recipe for disaster. That recipe needs to go in the trash. That cake needs to be thrown away. It needs to be donated. because I don't care how good looking you are. Why aren't I organizing? What? Why am I not orgasming? Why does this make me go? Why isn't that happening? Excuse me. Child, that's what it was. I need to be orgasmic. So God bless. I hope she finds the man that she desires. And I hope she finds it. I hope she taps into her discernment, because absolutely, chemistry is important. I don't want to discount that. Chemistry is definitely important, but that is felt instantly. Like, I think as soon as you meet somebody, either within the first moment or the first date, you feel that, okay, like you feel that spark, you feel that excitement. And if that's what it was, then she could easily name that. Like, what are you trying to figure out the words for? What do you mean something is missing? That's what, name that. If that's what it is, chemistry is not easy to, or it's not hard to name. That's what I'm like. It's not this random. She's acting like what she's experiencing is something that's totally, totally unique to her. No, that's not the case. She says, someone says here, she is the something that's missing. It's either she doesn't feel worthy of love and is uncomfortable with peace, or there's something she isn't sharing. Ooh, that's deep. Absolutely. Yeah, it could be her. It could be a personal problem. It may not have anything to do with him. Maybe he is hitting her right, because she didn't talk about that yet, if the sex is good. But again, I just, it makes no sense to be in a relationship with someone for long enough when he is asking you to marry him. You say yes. I guess she's hoping for that something to appear. But if you can't name what that something is, you're leading yourself down a wrong path. Wrong path indeed. I'm going to go ahead and end it here, you all. Thank you so much for listening. Make sure you are sharing this podcast, this episode, with a friend. If you liked at any point in this episode, make sure you leave a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and on YouTube. I welcome all of that. And consider becoming a patron, where you'll get access to exclusive content. Thank you so much for listening, and I will check in with you all next time. Peace.